Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming back again and watching. Today is a day when this morning I happened to find actually a whole bunch of Canadian channels that were spewing lies. They come on board and they act like they know what they're talking about, and all they're doing is lying. I think they're so ignorant, or I'm hoping they're so ignorant, that they don't know they're lying. But the one I want to address right now is a YouTube channel called The Planet D. They have 100 and whatever thousand subscribers, which I'm assuming are mostly Canadians. But anybody in the world can watch them. Well, everybody in the world needs to know there's some facts that need to be said. Before the Biden administration, when I found out differently, I thought that both the United States and Canada were involved with free trade. In other words, we were just trading back and forth with basically no tariffs. And then during the Biden administration, I found out that no, the Canadians didn't ever agree with free and fair trade. They had 3 pages of tariffs on us. Some of them really high, like dairy, for instance. And these websites don't come out and say, no, the first tariffs that were put on been in place for 30 and 40 years in some cases, and the Canadians put the tariffs on first. The United States were not the first ones to use tariffs. The Canadians did. And these Canadian channels aren't saying that. They're not saying that they started the tariffs with us. Most of us believed it was free and fair trade, even though they poached our automotive, steel, and a bunch of other industries along the way. Canada doesn't have, for instance, an automotive industry. They have an automotive industry they poached from Michigan. They don't have an automotive industry. Trump wants the automotive back because they poached it from us. But lying about who started the tariffs is unbelievable. The Planet D has a couple there. I don't know if they're married, boyfriend, or girlfriend, or if they're just, like podcasting together. I don't care. They're lying, ignorant sluts. Okay? That's what they are. Trump didn't start a trade war. Trump is making the trade more fair, and I hope he goes further along and does away with what we call NAFTA, which they call Kuzma or whatever they call it. Doesn't matter what they call it. I'd like to see it done away with, put 10 or 15% on what we do need for them, and put 35 or 50% on everything else. That's what I would like to see. But the truth needs to be told, and these Canadian YouTube channels, like The Planet D, are liars. So if you're Canadian and you're American, especially if you're American, you need to know when you see these that they're liars. They either don't know the truth because they're ignorant, or they're liars flat out. I think they're ignorant sluts, is what I think they are. Anybody to get up there and spew that much incorrect stuff is wrong. And maybe, just maybe, you might want to listen as a country to all Canadians, to Pete Hegseth, because I'm afraid if you don't, the scenario I just described about having NAFTA go away with you is very high. Because we're not going to continue to have a $261 billion trade deficit with Canada. They're not a state, they're a sovereign foreign country, and they need to be treated as such. They need to build an economy that's not built upon sucking an extra $261 billion out of the U.S. economy every year. That's no longer acceptable. And the Planet D, the lion, needs to stop. You need to tell if you're going to come and talk about the stuff you're talking about, you need to get the facts correct, and you do not. You have not. You haven't even tried to do it. You're loony lefties who are supporting the Idiot King 2. Idiot King 1's gone. Now you got Idiot King 2. Who doesn't have a brain. Because if he did, he'd have been down in Washington begging to take off all of the tariffs and not lose NAFTA. He wants to lose NAFTA. All the actions he's taking is telling the United States he doesn't want NAFTA. Think about it. If he wanted to keep those, the first thing he'd have done when you got a $261 billion surplus is to what? I can tell you. It's real easy. Delete all tariffs on everything in an attempt not to have all your tariffs free trade blocked, essentially. Idiot King 2 is a loony left liberal who doesn't know and doesn't care about Canadians or trade or anything else. But to the Planet D and that couple, you're ignorant sluts, and I came on here to tell you that fact. Get it right. Don't come on YouTube and spew bullcrap. Because we Americans aren't going to take your crap. If you're not going to tell the truth, if you're not going to be genuine, and you're just going to spew Canadian propaganda that's not true, don't expect any respect, and don't expect people like me to say anything different. I'm not going to cut you any slack on those kind of lies you're telling. You can take your elbows up and shove them you know where. Because that's what Donald Trump is going to do if you guys keep it up. So you might want to get smart. You might want to start telling the truth, and you might want to get educated. All right, that's what I have to say about the dipshits at Planet D. Bye-bye.